Heather, and I don't want you to put words in the protesters' mouths or the Kiai's mouth. I mean, I hope one day we have a panel and they come here, we can have this discussion directly. But to the extent that I think you've had the most in-depth discussions with Kiai, and I think Tyler, I mean, maybe all of you, what is their plan for Mauna Kea? And I mean, they is a bit of a strong word, but is there, give a spectrum even of what people want, what the long-term idea is. Is there something else for Mauna Kea that it's acceptable? Is there a compromise position? Is there something else that's better than billions of dollars of investment in research money and scholarships and $1 million a year and $1 million from RAND, $800,000 supporting Mauna Kea management specifically, plus another $1 million in workforce training that the Kiai are offering to us?
You're putting me in a tough spot.
I'm sorry, I know.
Wait, is this open to are you?
Yeah, no, Makana, she doesn't want to go right now, so you go for it.
Sorry, so no, I just wasn't sure. It was quiet. Did you want to do it? No, there you go. I'll go after.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got it first, Makana.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you coming with me too on this one. So when Tyler and I went up to Mauna Kea, right, we spent time at the access road.
And obviously honor whatever commitments you have to have a conversations. You know, I'm not sure to what extent conversations were had in private. I don't want to violate that. But
I know what to keep to myself, but I think there's some stuff that was public because it was set in the open air for Poliahu and all of us to hear. So I'm gonna say that, but. Yeah, so first off, I think they is very strong. Because, right, just with my own ohana, my own friends, all the way down to, like, Antipuadem, some of the other really diehard Kia'is up there. I kind of put them on a spectrum. I wouldn't say it's really binary. I wouldn't say there's even discrete ways that people have, or discrete plan sets that people have for the Mauna. I really say it's a spectrum because you have some people who say, get rid of some of the decommissioned telescopes now before TMT goes up. You got some people who say, leave everything up, fix the decommissioned telescopes. Then you got people who say, get everything off. Poof, go back to the days before like colonialism and put back the pu'umanamana, right? Do Hawaii astronomy the way Hawaiians did it before. I mean, and I'm just addressing, our conversations, right? The question was, what do some Kiai want? That's what some Kiai want. And then, so that's why I can't give you guys a direct answer. I can tell you the answers I've been told. And those are the answers. It's really a spectrum. So
you're saying this is like autism?
You say autism?
Yeah, he said autism.
I mean, there is a spectrum for it. So yes, in the sense.
Wait. Yeah. Don't say that.
It was really a question. Jim just throwing it out there. Tyler, what do you?
I'm saying,
jump in.
McConaughey, please don't say anything is like the autism spectrum.
That's okay.
Well, I mean, no. Okay, mathematicians in here. It's a number line, right? 0 to 1. There's an infinite number of spots you can fill. That's all I'm saying. I've talked to a lot of people, and there's many, many perturbations and many fine deviations from a particular plan set that differs from another. Very similar, very different. You can go all the way down to the other line.
What have you heard that's offered as an alternative to astronomy on Mauna Kea? And I guess let me couch it a little bit because you've given us some concept of it, but what benefit do you see to what they've offered? I mean, in the extent that you've heard it, what is it, how do you make you feel? Like, what is your analysis of what they're offering?
I mean, so, again, this is weird because I'm not talking about,
your own, yes, yeah. I know, but we didn't get anybody.
Yeah, basically, a lot of what I hear is, we should definitely have astronomy, but not have it in their belief at the price of this mountain, and that instead, we should focus more on top of the indigenous knowledge systems and focus more on these types of programs. And I think that's great that we do support these, and I agree there should be more resources to those as well. But to me, STEM is so very important, and I think is so vital for our future and our culture as well, that given the opportunity, we shouldn't sacrifice this one.
Mailani, give Heather more time to think about what she's going to say eventually.
So, to address your question, I do not think we here can speak on behalf of the Kia'i. And I believe that this is because from my experiences, they have, I'm sorry to use they, but from my experiences, the Kia'i maybe they are not in a place where they want to hold this conversation. And so we cannot find a resolution if, you can talk to someone, but that doesn't mean they're going to listen. And also the same for us too, both sides have this happening. And so I guess that is my plea, is that we can all find a way to listen to each other and to empathize with each other. As far as their vision for the Mauna, I believe that they see it as a way to reconcile with the wrongs that have been done to our people.
Hold on, Jim. We're going to skip you. Heather?
I think I'm just going to, hit on what Makana was talking about. There's a diversity of perspectives that I've encountered when talking about Mauna Kea. And yeah, it is not our place to comment for them. And so I think, because there is such a diversity of perspectives within that group, it's something that I don't think there's a single answer like what you're asking.
Do you see a compromise short of arrests? In your feeling,
Honestly, I don't know. I'm still young. I like to think, I'm still kind of inexperienced with this kind of thing happening.
I find it interesting though. How do you define a compromise, right? How do you define a compromise when it hasn't been addressed where the line is between right and wrong? If you know what I'm saying, and that goes back to the notion of this continuum of perspectives. I think, for example, right, there are telescopes that are going to be decommissioned that are come down. That moves this line of compromise, this right-wrong, into that overlaps with some people's perspectives of what they want to see from Mauna Kea, but it's not going to reach although some people on the other end of the continuum where they say just take everything off, right? Or at least I don't foresee that as being a possible solution that's been proposed. So that's yeah. So the notion for me of a compromise, in my opinion, is ill-defined at the moment, simply because the quote-unquote sides, the boundary hasn't been well established, simply because of this continuum of visions, right? There's not one unanimous vision for what people want to see on Mauna Kea, right, amongst the Kia'i. So
I think it's also important to highlight that, because removing TMT really doesn't solve the very root of the problem, you can't really compromise in that way, because at the end of the day, even if you take it off the table, that's not going to fix anything.
Can I make a quick comment?
Absolutely.
So I want to clarify that this continuum of different perspectives is not only on the side of the Kia'i. It's amongst all of us here in support of the telescope too. So just
Jim?
Since I am as old as all of you together, I was a part of movement politics. I was a part of Kaho'olawe. I was a part of Waihole Waikane. I was a part of people against Chinatown evictions. I am familiar with the nature of movement politics. That's kind of where I come from, an ethics studies background, Hawaiian studies background, and then that eventually obviously led to law school. But these are movements that are designed to achieve a particular goal. The goal that's been defined in general by the Kia'i movement is denial of TMT. We can sugarcoat it in all kinds of ways, but there is no outcome that is consistent with the goal of the Kia'i protesters by and large, other than denial of TMT. So from a science point of view, that's a zero-sum game. There's no Venn diagram where there's an overlap. Telescope here, you folks here, if you want to have telescope, then you're not going to get my support. There's no way, by definition, since the Kia'i had defined themselves as against the telescope. So appreciating that might inform us going forward. Maybe the scientists can do excellent science if they have a good instrument. If you are denied an instrument, your science may not be as good. And that's the future. From a science point of view, you have two, basically, a future with TMT and a future without. You're going to do your science no matter what. It may not be in Hawaii, or if it is in Hawaii, it'll be without the TMT.
Heather?
I don't know. I don't know if that's, I mean, so, in getting on this perspective of, if TMT is at issue here, then what happens? What are the perspectives in regards to the other observatories? And if for whatever reason the fallout of everything that happens is that they are no longer welcome, then I don't want to be anywhere else doing my research. Like, I want to be here. I want to be with my family. I want to be in the center of these indigenous knowledge systems, because at the end of the day, I was not raised up in a school that taught us that information. And I'm still learning that, and I'm still trying to inform my research with that knowledge. And I cannot do that anywhere
Sam's
else.
question.
I know. I just want to highlight that there's a difference. I cannot just go anywhere and do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Jim,
That was ultimately my point.
You guys.
I don't know. We keep bantering over here.
It's like mom and dad fighting over here. You guys.
That's the point.
No, I love you guys. Okay, so Mr. Stone, we have a question for you. They called you Mr. Stone. I'm going to call you Dr. Stone from now on, because nobody knows that lawyers are actually doctors. Ha! That's not really true. Okay,
It's
what
only
is
because we were jealous of the docs. So we invented a degree that's a Juris Doctorate.
That's where I was going with that horrible joke. Okay, what is the background regarding the state and DHHL land swap issues, if you know? Have they been uncompleted for any particular reasons, including the Summit Road? And this is related to the claim that DHHL owns the road. It's not really how land use works, but that's kind of where, or land ownership.
I'm not familiar with the nature of that claim or the quality of that claim. I can only say that during the 11-year process with regards to the permit, every other claim was raised. This is sort of a new one. And so I can't comment on the quality of that claim. I can say that for every demand that has been raised today, it had already been raised at some point in the past 11 years. So it's not as if this is anything new. So to the extent that, Sam, you're asking what would tomorrow look like, what would a compromise look like, we are living that real life. Because we know that once none of those demands were supportable, it didn't stop. The only outcome that is satisfactory is the denial of TMT. How do we know that? Because we still got the protests after all of the due process.
I guess also to add to that, first off, I want to say whatever, if it's legal or not, that's not really the whole point of it. Because even if we, find out that it was legal, we still have the problem. There's still going to be the protests. There's still going to be people against the TMT. The road is just another issue, and which I agree. If there was something done wrong with DHHL and DOT, then that needs to be fixed. I mean, we need to get Hawaiians, their land, and it's yeah. If this is another one of those injustices, then I'm not for it. Yeah.
We should be saying ours. We are part of that group.
I guess to the extent that I'm not a beneficiary of deed. Yeah. Sorry.
It's complicated.